some of the participants in the group have volunteered to share their thoughts. So first, I'll read out the question. In the text, Swamiji says, "It is a well-known fact that the persons worshipping the same God, believing in the same religion, have stood by each other with much greater strength and constancy than people of merely the same descent or even brothers. But we also know there have been numerous wars and bloodshed in the name of religion. So how do we understand religion in these apparently contradictory ideas?" Amar, Amar Kumar, please go ahead.
हरिओम। स्वामी जी को सादर प्रणाम। सभी मित्रों को मेरा नमस्कार। क्या मैं हिंदी में बोल सकता हूँ?
Yes, yes, please continue.
जी, जहां तक मैं समझता हूँ, रिलीजन और धर्म दो चीजें हैं। रिलीजन की उत्पत्ति यूरोप में और पश्चिमी दुनिया में हुई। धर्म की उत्पत्ति पूर्व में या ईस्टर्न वर्ल्ड में हुई। रिलीजन एक संकुचित दृष्टिकोण देता है जीवन को देखने का। उसमें एक पुस्तक, एक प्रवर्तक और एक पूजा पद्धति की प्रधानता होती है। लेकिन धर्म इसके उल्टा हमें बहुत ही व्यापक दृष्टिकोण देता है। जैसे कि एकम सद विप्रा बहुधा वदंती। रिलीजन कहता है कि तुम मेरे विचार को नहीं मानोगे तो तुम्हें नरक मिलेगा। अगर तुम्हें स्वर्ग पाना है तो मेरे ही रास्ते पर चलना होगा, वरना तुम पर अल्लाह या गॉड कुपित होगा। लेकिन धर्म कहता है कि एक लक्ष्य या एक ईश्वर तक पहुंचने के लिए अनेकों रास्ते हैं। तुम जिसके द्वारा जाना चाहो तुम वहां पहुंच सकते हो। तो भारत देश की विशेषता है कि यह एक धर्म प्राण देश है। यहाँ अनेक महापुरुष आए, संत स्वामी आए और उन्होंने सबको साथ लेकर चलने की प्रेरणा दी, शिक्षा दी। जहां तक हम देखते हैं, हिंदू धर्म का कोई एक शास्त्र नहीं है। इसमें वेद हैं, उपनिषद हैं, रामायण, महाभारत, गीता, स्मृतियां, अनेकानेक ग्रंथ हैं। लेकिन हम यदि इस्लाम को देखें तो उसमें एक ही पुस्तक है, वो है कुरान। ईसाइयत को देखें तो एक ही पुस्तक है, वह है बाइबल, जो उन्हें कहीं ना कहीं बहुत ही संकुचित दृष्टिकोण देता है। हम देखते हैं कि गीता में किसी संप्रदाय का या किसी मजहब का कोई जिक्र नहीं है। वह तो मानव धर्म का शास्त्र है। लेकिन कुरान का जो पहला आयत है, पहला मंत्र है, वो यही कहता है कि अल्लाह के सिवा दुनिया में कोई भी पूज्य नहीं है। और यहीं से सारा विरोधाभास उत्पन्न हो जाता है। उसकी पहली शिक्षा ही यह है कि ये केवल अल्लाह को मानो, बाकी सबको नकार दो। तो निगेटिविटी यहीं से उत्पन्न हो जाती है। धर्म की कई सारी परिभाषाएं हैं। महाभारत में है कि जो धारण करता है वह धर्म है। वाल्मीकि रामायण में भी कहा गया है कि धर्मादर्थ प्रभवति, धर्मात् प्रभवति सुखम, धर्मेण लभते सर्वम, धर्म सारम इदम जगत। यानी महर्षि वाल्मीकि के अनुसार धर्म वह सूत्र है जिसके आधार पर सारा जगत पुष्ट होता है या समृद्धि को पाता है। हमारा एक दर्शन है वैशेषिक, उसमें महर्षि कणाद कहते हैं कि यह तो अभ्युदय निःश्रेयस सिद्धि स धर्म। यानी धर्म वह महान सिद्धांत है जो हमें इस लोक में और परलोक में दोनों में कल्याण के लिए मार्ग प्रशस्त करता है। तो कुल मिलाकर के मैं कह सकता हूं कि धर्म ब्रह्मांड को संचालित करने वाला शाश्वत नियम है। उसकी व्याख्याएं अलग अलग मतों, पंथों, संप्रदायों के द्वारा होती है। जैसे कि भारत में उसी धर्म की व्याख्या हिंदुओं के द्वारा वैदिक दर्शन के द्वारा हुई, बौद्धों के द्वारा हुई, जैनों के द्वारा हुई, सिखों के द्वारा हुई, शैवों, वैष्णवों इत्यादि के द्वारा हुई। लेकिन धर्म एक है, वह सनातन है और वह रिलीजन से जुदा है। रिलीजन अलग चीज है, धर्म अलग चीज है। आप सभी का धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Amar. Uh, Maharaj, will you share your interpretation now, or should we go to the next question and come back at the end?
Yeah, I'll finish it now, because otherwise,
Yeah,
you take up the next question, they may forget the first question.
sure, sure.
So, yeah, as Aman Kumarji has said, in Sanatana Dharma, religion and dharma are not two separate things. We only have dharma, in fact. Now, as Swamiji is saying here, people have identified with religion more than anything else throughout human history, if you look at. And what happens in the beginning, how religion started, how religion originated. Human beings were living as tribes, different tribal groups. The people who have inhabited one particular geography, okay, they all actually lived as one family, one tribe. And they had their own, way of understanding God. They had their own creation of God. And then another tribe had their own creation of God, their own understanding of God, their own rituals, their own methods. So your God versus my God is in the beginning. Okay. So that tribe versus this tribe. So whenever they had numbers to their side, whenever they had political power, whenever they had wealth or numbers, the tribe which was actually bigger in number tried to dominate the other tribe and wanted to force their understanding of religion upon the other tribe. This is how the conflicts used to start. So this, yeah, perception variation. Different people had different understanding of religion and God, different names they had given to the ultimate reality. But what they failed to understand was this, that the ultimate reality is one. We are approaching that ultimate reality through multiple paths. So as Sri Ramakrishna said, Jatoma Tatopat, has many minds, so many faiths, in fact. But that understanding was not there. So now I have political power, I have bigger number to my side. So you ought to believe in my religion the way I believe in. That's why the conflicts used to start and then fights used to happen. Wars have happened throughout human history, particularly in the Middle East and that part of the geography, not in India. But in India, in Sanatana Dharma, from the very beginning, you have been telling that God is one. The paths are many. You can approach Him through multiple paths. And that's the reason the least bloodshed has happened here on this soil in the name of religion. We've always been tolerant, and also the central teaching of Sanatana Dharma is Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. As God wills in all the beings, if you violate any life, actually, basically, you are actually, violating yourself, and your spiritual progress will get impeded. The core teaching, the core religion. So all the time we have been telling that Ahimsa Paramo Dharma means love alone is religion. How do you worship God? God is love. Of the geography where the other two major religions originated, there actually the same tribal instinct actually still prevails. You versus me, your religion versus my religion, your understanding versus my understanding. Because that Catholicity is not there. Whenever I get political power, what I do is actually I try to enforce my religion upon you. I will give you actually a chance whether you get converted to my religion because I'm superior to you, or you get lost. You ought to be killed. You ought to die. Okay, this kind of crude religion and then very unregenerate religion they have practiced throughout history. Now actually people are trying to understand what is the different religions, what they say on God. It's all one God. We give multiple names to the ultimate reality. There cannot be multiple ultimate realities. Ultimate reality must be one. Today, the modern, educated, and logical and rational man is able to understand, is able to perceive that. In India, if you go and ask a rickshaw puller, see, is there God one or many? He will say God is one. Then these are all different names we have given according to in Sanatana Dharma itself. For God, there are n number of names. We don't quarrel because we know that ultimate reality is one. If that understanding misses, obviously quarrels and wars happen, and they have happened throughout human history. So we have to improve our understanding of religion. So the core essence of religion is love, universal love, without distinction of caste, creed, and sect. If you can love all human beings, you are practicing religion in the true sense of the term. Otherwise, actually, you are bigoted, and so it's a double-edged sword. If you don't understand the principle well, you will become a bigot, you will become a narrow-minded, parochial human being. And at the slightest opportunity, the drop of a hat, you are ready to fight with fellow human being because he believes in a different way. His understanding of religion or God is a little different from your understanding. Yeah, that's my take on this question, Hemant. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj. We'll go to the next question.
Hi, so good morning, everyone. Namaste. And as we see this question over here, why does Swamiji call the dream the most wonderful state? So, as per my reading of the text, what I understand is that Swamiji uses the example of the dream to show the sheer power of the human mind. And it's called the most wonderful state because a dream is a state where we complete an entire different world, an entire different reality of our own, which mimics expressions, thoughts, sound, volume, characters, and all the while, none of it is actually real. Without being influenced by any external elements, we create a projection within our own mind. And then, as wakefulness comes in, we realize that none of it was real, and instantly the consciousness is established in our mind that whatever we saw when we were dreaming was not real, and now we have woken up to reality, which makes us wonder, which can make one wonder, what if the reality that we are waking up to, what if it is also a projection of our conscious mind, just like a dream is a projection of our subconscious or our unconscious mind? What if the reality around us is also influenced by how our mind thinks? And also, it shows us that reality is a very relative state. For somebody who is dreaming, their dream is their entire world. The dream seems so real, and so it's not at all fictitious. It's the most real thing they live in at the moment. But as we wake up, we realize that it was not after all real, and that now we are in the uh, obvious reality, as it has been coined by people. So this just shows us that reality is a very relative term, and it really only depends. The insight that we get with this example is that what we perceive as reality only depends on the consciousness of our mind. And the way we align our minds, the way we get them to function, them can also and has always been influencing our reality.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I think in answering this question, I would like to take up a parable a story that Sri Ramakrishna used to tell his disciples and people who came to him. Sri Ramakrishna said there was a king. When that king wake up, the child of that king had died. Now all people were crying over that dead child, but the king was not crying. The people came to the king and asked that, why are you not crying, like your child is no more? Then the king said that I in my dream I had actually this story was not about a king, a normal person. And the person says, in the dream I was a king, I had I had a big palace, I had many children, and now the dream has ended and I don't have any of them now. And so if all that reality which was very real to me right and just now is no more, so why I should cry about this reality? Because even this is going to end someday. I think dream is has a very important role in our life, because we are usually engrossed in the life we live, the way we live, and we actually keep assuming that it is very real, that it is something that is eternal, that will always go on, but that is not the case. The life we have seen is a very short one, and we should actually try to think and try to analyze it from various perspectives. So when we are in a dream state, we don't have the entire control over our thinking, our views, our ideas. In fact, I have even felt sometimes in dream I see some things which I feel that I might never have been able to think about in my real life, had I tried them voluntarily. So I think this dream gives us this maybe we can say some strength, some new way to look at life, a new way to think. And in fact, the all the philosophers, the research that philosophers do is not done in labs; it is done in thinking. And dreaming is nothing but thinking. So it actually gives us new ways to think, which is helpful both in philosophical ways and in the religious way. In really in the Yoga Sutras, has this one word called Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means two things. It means the reading of scriptures and also analyzing our own lives, like thinking about lives, like what we are doing, where we are going, the goals we have made, are they even meaningful, or should we have new goals? So all these things are more possible if we try to think about dream, try to relate with dream, because dream gives us a new reality in like very soon. And one more thing I would like to talk about here is the ultimate thing. Just as this reality seems very different from the dream one, there is always a possibility that there is a higher reality also, which Adi Shankaracharya says that there are three levels of life, or three levels of this world or the reality. First is the dream world, second is the world in which we are living, and then there is a higher world. But we are not able to accept it or realize it because we have never seen that, or never sensed, or never have never come in contact with that higher world or a higher reality. But when we relate the dream and this current world, then we can actually also have this faith that yes, there is a possibility that there is something higher. Thank you.
Maharaj, we'll go with your insight.
Yes, Swamiji, what he wants to say in this context is, we all are stuck at the physical level. Whenever we think of life, we think of only the physical body and for physical body's necessities, namely food, clothing, and shelter. Our consciousness revolves around only body. Swamiji is saying here, dream is a wonderful thing. As just now Srikar said, see, there is nothing physical there, but there is a world. It's a world in itself. Okay, the physical world is totally absent. Why dream is wonderful? Through dream, that is the everyday experience of every human being, you need to understand there is another world, another realm, settled realm. You're not actually consciously recognizing it. And so we have known in our culture all the time that there is first the physical and then there is the psychological or thought. As Aman Kumar said, that dream is actually thought, just absolute thought. And our people, there is a higher dimension to you other than dream, other than beyond thought. That is consciousness. Consciousness is still subtle. Okay, because that you cannot perceive through thought, because it transcends thought and it's the basis of thought. And how to gain that consciousness and that spirit and that Atman, that self, you have to dissolve thought. What is mind? What is a bundle of thoughts. How to dissolve the mind? You dissolve the ego. And I dissolve the desire. That's what our spirituals, sages, illumined sages have been saying to us. But as psychologically you're not prepared to drop this little and limited, puny, truncated individuality, where you're so strongly attached to the body and the psychological things, and you are in samsara. What they say is these two dimensions, the thought dimension, that the mind, and also the physical, they are all lower dimensions. Physical is actually, the body is too gross, and then the mind is actually next level of subtlety, and subtler than the mind is the world of spirit, world of consciousness, which is homogeneous. Somebody said the ekam sat vipra bahudha vadanti, because it is non-physical, it is non-psychological, it is infinite. And we are all seeking that infinite, but unconsciously. Religion and spirituality is all about seeking that reality consciously, knowing full well that the physical is limited because it's three-dimensional. It has actually no permanence about it, and it's not going to give you eternal peace and happiness. Same is the case with the psychological, that is also limited. So each of us has his or her own mind, his or her own thoughts. There is that variation. Can't be homogeneous. Only the spirit actually, which is real, which animates both the mind and the body, is the real thing, the reality about all. And at that level, we are all one. And to seek that oneness and to merge into that oneness is the goal of life. And these three dimensions, if we don't really understand, suppose the physical goes, death causes us tremendous suffering. And we are terribly afraid of death because we think we are the body, but the body will not last long. And that's why Swami is saying, at least think and dream, because there is a higher world, there is a subtler world. If you can go to the level of the spirit, that's grand and it's great. And if you can have that kind of understanding, and if you can drop the psychological mess also, the mind, and then you will touch the consciousness, your real being, which is infinite. Neither the physical nor the psychological is infinite. Neither the physical nor the psychological is perfect and complete. They are limited by nature. Beyond the psychological and the physical is the real nature, the spiritual nature of human being. And it's not actually your spiritual nature and my spiritual nature, your soul and my soul. That is all one, that is homogeneous. At that plane, the whole world is one. There is no distinction between matter and body and mind and spirit. It's only one and one homogeneous thing. Once you touch that dimension of your personality, you are infinite, you are all-knowing, and you are immortal. So that's why Swami is saying that there is something, don't just live for the physical body. There is some higher realms of life. There is this dream is the proof, he is saying. Thank you.
So the next question is, Swamiji says, they realize things there much more intensely than we realize facts around us in our waking state. And the answer Sri Ramakrishna gave Swami Vivekananda when he asked if he saw God was, yes, I have seen God. I see him as I see you here, only more clearly. What does this intensely and more clearly in these contexts mean?
Hello, Charan Vandana Swami and Namaskar to the team. I am Soasmi, and may I share my answer for this?
Please go ahead.
Right. So, from my reading of the text, what I have understood is that when Swamiji says that the ancient rishis realize things more intensely than we realize facts around us, and when Ramakrishna Paramhans ji said that I see God more clearly than I see you, they are not talking about visual intensity or emotional intensity or anything on that level. In Vedant, this means that the knowledge of the divine for them was a paroksh anubhav, which means a direct, immediate realization that is well beyond the senses. What we ordinarily call seeing is through our eyes or through our mind when we interpret what we see through our eyes. And that can be mistaken, that can be wrong. But here, Swamiji's experience is self-illuminating, self-revealing. It is what we call Swayam Prakash. For example, you do not need a torch to look at the sun, just as we do not need proof to know that we exist, that we are. So, here, more clearly just means that more real and more certain than perception with senses, not just sharper visually or anything like that. And Swamiji in the text also clearly says that great sages perceived super sensuous facts, that is, facts that are beyond the senses, beyond Indriya, and that religion grows out of realizations that go well beyond the limitations that are associated with senses. So, I mean, in this state, the experience of the divine is actually so much more stronger and so much more undeniable than our waking experience of the world. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
I think, Maharaj, please, you can go ahead.
So there's nothing more for me to add. I think Sosmi, she has spoken beautifully, she has summarized it. And also Aman, just now he has mentioned that the jaggery. You can understand what is jaggery when you taste it, when you eat it. Mysore pak is there, it's only word. I can say that Mysore pak is sweet. But what is that sweet? There are a variety of sweets. What is Mysore pak? If I want to make somebody understand, I have to give him Mysore pak and he has to eat and experience it, right? And it's not theory for Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Buddha, for Kabir Das and Anandamayi Ma. For all of them, reality is a direct experience. Just as we experience Vishayartha, objects of the senses through our senses, they have experienced God. It was not theory anymore for them, it was a direct experience. And they spoke only through their experience. And for us, it is theory yet, right? There is God, there is a perception beyond the perception of the senses. There is an understanding, there is a reality beyond the senses that we need to reach that. For that, we need to practice tapas, that we all understand it. We might not have reached that place yet, still we know that there is a higher reality, which is so there is a higher reality which is uh, which can be experienced. But for that, actually, we are on the journey. We have to go the way, travel the distance. And people like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Mirabai, Kabir Das, we all revere them, we worship them, we try to follow their teachings because we know that for sure that they had experienced the truth. And they spoke from their own experience. Religion was not a theory anymore to them. That's what. Yes, Swamiji is saying the same thing. And Sri Ramakrishna said that I see God as clearly as I see you. And God is no more theory to me. God is actually more real than this world of objects. In fact, when you experience God, you know that this world of name and form is Maya. It is unreal. It doesn't have any substance. It doesn't have any reality of its own. It's like a dream. But now, as we are in the dream, even if somebody says that it's a dream, we won't be able to give it up because only when you experience the truth, this becomes true to us truly. Till then, actually, we have to hold on to this dream. There's no other way. So it's like a catch 22 situation. Only when you transcend to that realm, this becomes Maya to you. As long as in Maya, and you won't get to that, this higher reality. So you have to understand that this is unreal, though we are in that unreality. And constantly we have to seek consciousness. And the more actually you let your mind soak with the idea and thought of consciousness, more you meditate and think of God by cultivating love for God, by cultivating devotion, bhakti, the faster actually you graduate to that higher experience of consciousness.
Thank you, Maharaj. We'll go to the next question. So the next question is, all the teachings of Buddha came through this supersensuous state of mind and not through intellectual cogitations. Is this supersensuous state another state of the mind?
My humble pranams to revered Maharaj. Namaste everyone. My name is Karthik. So I would like to narrate an incident which I heard from senior monk that when the Gautam Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree and made a resolve that I won't get up until I get that supreme knowledge. When he got the enlightenment, he danced for 7 days in that spiritual ecstasy. This is the first thing which he did, and later then he thought that what I have realized, how to put it in words, how to preach this to people. So from this, we can say that the teachings of Buddha came from through that super sensual state of mind and not through intellectual cogitations. Now in Vedanta, Swamiji says that mind is which oscillates between different possibilities. So it wanders here and there. For example, when a man is walking in a dark jungle and when he sees a tree stuff there, uh, his mind oscillates between the tree and a man. And when he comes closer, he gets the clarity that uh, it's the tree stuff. So that is intellect. Now in Raja Yoga, Swamiji says there are three stages of mind. The first one is unconscious or instinctive state. This is the lower state, guided by impulse, desires, and senses. This state we can see in animals. The second one is conscious or rational mind, which is higher than instinct. Here we use logic, reasoning, and analysis discrimination. But this mind has limits. It cannot reach truth by itself. So intellect is like a street cleaner. Its job is to keep path clean, but it's blind and can't move because intellect works on impressions that come from senses and it organizes it into knowledge. So it has limitation. And the third state, which is super conscious state or super sensuous state, this is the highest state. Mind becomes perfectly calm, steady, and pure. Truth is directly realized, not reasoned out in this state. So Buddha's enlightenment came from this state. So Swamiji gives example of a lake. When it's calm, stable, we can see the bottom. So what Buddha realized was not a product of imagination or reasoning. His enlightenment came when the mind quietened to such an extent that a deeper layer of consciousness opened. a state where truth is directly seen, not thought out. It is not another mind, but the same mind purified, made extremely calm, steady, and transparent. When all waves of desire, fear, and thought are stilled, the mind becomes like a polished mirror. In that silence, deeper reality reveals itself. Swamiji says in Jnana Yoga that this state is perfectly natural to every human being. It is not a miracle, not an abnormal trance, not imagination. It is the highest condition of the same mind, just as ice and steam are different states of the same water. This is why all spiritual traditions emphasize meditation, self control, purity, and concentration. These practices refine the mind so that it can rise from the sensory layer through the intellectual layer to this super sensuous clarity. Thank you.
Maharaj.
So I think nothing much to say beyond what Karthik has said and Sri has said. Yes, it is not actually another state of mind. Mind undergoes three states, that Jagruta, Swapna, and Sushupti. Wakeful state, dream, and deep sleep state. And these are three states which mind undergoes every day. And beyond these three states, there is Turiya, which is a non-mind state. In Sushupti state, deep sleep and Turiya, they are almost close to each other, almost same, except for that in Sushupti state, the ego is still there. It is actually in a dormant state, but it's still there. When that ego is totally effaced or the desire is completely sublimated, then you will have the superconscious state, which is called technically in Sanskrit language as Turiya, the fourth state. Every day we are touching the frontier of Turiya in a deep sleep state, in Sushupti. Almost we come close to the frontier of the Turiya and then we come back. The ego gets into the dormant state, and when we wake up again, it springs up and then projects the whole universe for us. Mind. Mind first comes I thought, then mind, and then the whole world. So this dissolution of the mind, this complete self-effacement, complete self-abnegation, annihilating this puny individuality is the goal. And that requires courage because we don't know what lies beyond it. Many people are afraid to let go of this limited individuality. They think because that is death. What am I if I kill this I? How can I kill myself? How can you actually ask the mind to kill itself? Basically, it is asking the mind to commit suicide. For that, you have to cajole the mind, the obstinate child. You have to tell the mind again and again, go back to your source. Okay, the song is there in Bengali. Why actually you're roaming in this foreign land? Oh, mind, go back to your source, go back to your home. What is your home? Your home is consciousness. But mind actually acts as a petulant child, obstinate child. It doesn't, yield to our importunities that quickly. And so you have to cajole this chitta balaka. This is the language used in Yoga Vasishta. Chitta balaka is a petulant child. You keep on cajoling, and one day it agrees, yes, there is a higher reality, my source of being actually the real truth. Let me dissolve, let me go back to my own home. And then actually it yields and it goes and dissolves into that. That is a superconscious state which Buddha had experienced, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had experienced. Definitely it's not another state of mind, it's beyond mind, a state which is beyond mind. Or otherwise you can say it in this way as a Shuddha. Man and consciousness are one and the same, Sri Ramakrishna said. Shuddha Man means that has transcended Sattva also. That is a Shuddha Sattva state is called. If you want to define it that way, you can also define. So what is mind after all? It's made up of pairs of opposites, right? Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, Krishna said. What is that kind of samatva? When actually mind reaches that equilibrium, because the pairs of opposites have gone. When mind sees everything as one thing, then it gets dissolved completely, because mind has no existence beyond the pairs of opposites. If the contrast is not there, it can't survive, because its very existence depends upon opposites. Once actually opposites are effaced, mind doesn't retain its form, because it's a ghost basically, what the Yoga Vasishta says. Chitta Betala, Chitta Pisacha means. It has no existence, true existence of its own. Because of these dvandvas, it is made up of. It's made up of pairs of opposites. Once you superimpose God on everything and you remove that pairs of opposites from the mind, mind loses its character, its nature. It can't exist anymore. Then it dissolves into consciousness. When the mind attains the equilibrium, then you will have the perception of the superconscious. And it's not that there is an experiencer and the process of experiencing and the object being experienced. Again, Triputty won't be there. It is just one homogeneous existence. You are that superconscious and you are that ultimate reality. So that's what actually all these great ones have experienced. It's possible to all of us because we're already in that. It's never it is separate from us. And we are all in that only. That is our reality. But due to ignorance and due to Maya, we have wrongly identified ourselves with this physical body and the psychological body, namely the mind. And that's why we experience all this suffering. But when knowledge dawns on us and you understand that that higher reality is our birthright, and you struggle and one day we attain to that. That's the glory of human life. Consciously we can strive towards the truth. Thank you.
So the final question is, the body senses the limited, cannot express the infinite. But how does this connect to the idea of not I but thou? Why renunciation is the basis of ethics?
Namaste Maharaj. I am Devarjana this side. Pranam Maharaj and Namaste everyone else here. I have picked up this question to understand and talk about a little. So the question was, the body senses the limited, cannot express the infinite. But how does this connect to the idea of not I but thou? And why renunciation is the basis of ethics? So, when I think about this topic, it feels like a conversation about how small we really are compared to the bigger truth around us. Our body, our senses, mind only can understand the limited part of the whole reality. Like, for example, we can hear certain sounds, we can see certain colors, can understand certain ideas, but the infinite or the divine is something much bigger than our physical abilities. So, if we only depend on our senses, we would never be able to understand the higher truth, as the infinite or the divine is something much, much, much bigger than what our senses can grasp. So, this is where I feel the idea of not I but thou makes sense. It's like saying I alone with my ego and my limited thinking cannot understand everything. I need to look beyond myself. The I here represents my ego, selfishness, my pride, and the limited thinking I have in my mind. And the thou here represents something higher, like the truth, the divinity, or the greater purpose we all have. In my understanding, it means I should not focus only on my small ego. My ego is limited, just like my body and senses. Instead, I should think about the higher reality, something greater than myself. So when I give less importance to I become more open to the infinite truth, which is thou. So the message here interprets, let go of personal selfish desires to experience the infinite. This also connects to the idea of renunciation being the basis of ethics. See, the renunciation doesn't only mean running away from the world and the living material world, everything. It mostly means here of letting go of our selfishness. If a person is only always thinking about what they want, they would never be able to understand what the right thing is to do and what is the wrong. So they would never be able to differentiate between right and wrong. But when we renounce our ego and our selfish desires, we start thinking about others too. It's right that we think about ourselves, but we also think about others too. So ethical behavior needs selflessness. We only after that would be able to ethical behave. If only after that would the ethical behavior becomes possible, because ethics is basically about considering others, not just ourselves. So overall the idea is our limited self cannot reach the higher truth. To reach the higher truth, we have to rise above our limits, and to rise above our limits, we must let go of our selfish thinking, any thinking that revolves around my personal wants and needs. And only after letting go of our ego, we can become more ethical human beings. And only then we would be able to apply Swamiji's teaching in our lives. So It all connects in a simple way, that is, less I and more thou leads to both spiritual understanding and moral living. Thank you, Maharaj. That was all I had to share.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing the thoughts. Anyone else? Vinayak
Yes,
can go.
Maharaj. Yeah, actually, the body senses the limit. The infinite, it's true. Idea of not I bar though. Actually, there are something like beyond. We can't go beyond our body. It's completely false. If we consider a body also, then there are some limitation that after some days it will expire. But the thought, knowledge, and the consciousness comes after. There are no such type of age gap or time bound things. And not I bartho basically if we only consider about ourselves, then we can't thought beyond some.
I think you got unmuted. I mean, muted. Can you?
Hello.
Yes, please go.
Yeah, so basically like day and night now, we can assume that everything there, ethics also, there are some pros and cons are there from person to person. So when renunciation is the basic of it, because when we separate ourselves from everything, then there will be some chances of getting learning from various persons there, because in every person or in every things there are some good and bad side also there. But whatever our observation will will be based on the magnetization of the good things. So basically, the body senses are actually very much limited. But for expresses the infinite, we need to involve the bridge, the bridge by which comes from the consciousness and the renunciation. That's all. Thank you.
The answer given by Devarchana, her interpretation, and also this Amayo. So you have the right understanding. So Srikarji, that Swamiji told in this lecture the necessity of religion. See, the utilitarians' self-contradictory approach. They are saying that see, what you are talking about the infinite, this is too abstract, it's not practicable. And yet they are asking us, don't aspire for that, yet they are asking us to practice ethics. And Swami says it's impossible to practice ethics, impossible to practice dharma unless you have the aspiration to reach the superconscious, to reach the spirit, to reach God, to reach the infinite. If that aspiration, ambition, desire is not there, it is impossible to practice ethics. See, why should I practice ethics? The question will arise. See, it is in the very nature of things that when you do something, you expect a result. Why should I be doing this? Why should I be honest if when the people all around are being dishonest and unethical? Why are asking me to practice ethics and morality when all the people around me are unethical and immoral? How I would be able to do that, and why should I do that? So you seek actually some prayojana when you do something, because it's like swimming against the flow today. To practice ethics today in this world particularly, we have become so materialistic because we have considered the Western civilizations as higher than our civilization, and then we have been imitating those civilizations for the last 7 decades. So our understanding of life is only body and the world of senses. The other dimensions are completely missing in a way. And so as we have considered ourselves as a third world country and have been imitating the lifestyle of the Western nations, and today we need money to purchase things, and everybody wants to raise the bar of their material stand of life, and your whole struggle, whole life goes into that. And now in the midst of this kind of tough competition like this with 1.4 billion population, to practice ethics and ask me to practice renunciation and not to have the, the pleasures of the material world and the comfort and luxury of the material world. How you will be able to do that? So, Swami is saying only when you have the aspiration to reach the infinite. Because practicing of ethics and morality and dharma is the means to achieve that goal of the infinite. You have the utility here. I'm not saying that there is no utility here. But utilitarians say that the infinite is too abstract. I cannot grasp it. I cannot understand it. It may be abstract in other cultures, but not in India. We know one Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, we know Buddha, we know Ramana Maharshi, we know what they have experienced. It may not be in our experience yet, but we know that possibility is there for all of us. They have transcended the body, they have transcended the physicality, they have transcended the senses, and they have attained the fulfillment of life. They have attained the infinite, and they have attained immortality. And when that becomes your goal, and practicing ethics and morality and practicing dharma becomes easy. And otherwise, you are asking me what little, renunciation or little ethical practices I can do. But first, have the ambition to know the God, to know the truth, to know the Lord. Once you have that ambition, you will be able to resist all temptations. Otherwise, it's not easy to practice ethics for anybody because you have the higher aspiration. For others are not practicing ethics because the infinity is not their goal, because they don't understand what is infinite, they don't understand what is God. It's too abstract for them. But for you, it's not that abstract. You know that it's a possibility that you have and you can realize it. If not in this birth, next birth, I'm ready to wait. Vivekananda says that if I don't get, fresh water to drink, shall I drink from the ditch? I will not drink from the ditch, rather I will die, he said. Okay, that kind of passion for truth, if you have, practicing morals, practicing ethics becomes easy. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult as we see it today in our Indian society. This kind of corruption exists that people have forgotten that moksha as the ambition. They've forgotten actually attaining infinite, attaining nirvana and kaivalya. They have given it up on that because they think it is too abstract and too difficult and it's morally only the theory because we don't see those many self-realized souls around us. But the nature is constitutionally designed in such a way, as the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatate siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Among millions and millions of human beings, a few will strive for perfection, for siddhi, for attaining me. The Lord is saying, and among those who strive, one will attain, one will reach. Because the goal is a little distant, definitely. But if somebody has said that if you have longing for truth, just as we have longing for these material pleasures and wealth, the same kind of longing actually, if you turn the direction and make it towards the Lord, everybody can attain to that infinitude. Everybody can attain to that beatitude of life. But if you give up on that, saying that it's not a practical thing, I may not get in this birth, you have to wait 2 births. In this infinite period of time, 1 or 2 births or 5 births or 10 births is nothing. But I will not go for only sensory pleasures. It's not that overnight actually we'll be able to turn all our mind towards the Lord and we'll forego all the little pleasures of life. You don't have to. But at least try to deepen the desire to know the truth. Have the longing and intensify it over a period of time. And one day you will attain to that. And otherwise practicing ethics will be difficult. That's what Swami is saying. He is disagreeing with utilitarians. Utilitarians remove the ideal itself, saying that it is too abstract and too distant a goal. It's not practicable. Yet they are asking the people to practice ethics. Ethics are important. Why? Ethics are important because we are living in a society. Human being is a social animal according to them. So he is a social animal. We are living in a society. We have to practice ethics. We can't exploit each other. But it's not possible as we see. As we see today in our society, people are not able to practice ethics. They are not honest. The reason is, it's not actually because the higher aspiration is not there. That is why Swamiji is denying the idea of utilitarians. No, unless the infinity's goal is there, infinity is set as a goal, you won't be able to practice ethics and dharma. You will succumb to every petty temptation and by default you will become dishonest and unethical and immoral. And then actually you will harm your own prayojana, spiritual prayojana. Materialistically you may gain things. Materialistically you may have opulence around you, but you won't gain that real peace and happiness and that fulfillment which our sages have talked about so eloquently through their own lives. Thank you all.
Thank you, Maharaj. I think with this we come to the end of this session. Thank you everyone for actively participating. It was wonderful listening to all the different perspectives. It was both thought-provoking as well as calming. Thank you once again.